Today I'm going to ask and answer a question, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Welcome to this edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Diabetes Awareness Month. Now, diabetes refers to a group of diseases that affect how the body uses blood sugar or glucose. Glucose is an important source of energy for the cells that make up the muscles and the tissues. It's also the brain's main source of fuel. The main cause of diabetes varies by type, but no matter what type of diabetes a person has, it can lead to excess sugar in the blood, and too much sugar in the blood can lead to serious health problems. Now, there are 4 types of diabetes, and the most common one is type 2, which is a chronic condition that affects the way the body produces glucose, or blood sugar. The second is type 1, which is a chronic condition in which the pancreas produces little to no insulin. The third is prediabetes, which is a condition in which the blood sugar is high, but not high enough to be type 2. And the last is one that only affects women. It's gestational diabetes. Now, it's a form of high blood sugar that affects pregnant women, and it goes away when the women give birth. Now, some of the symptoms of type 1 and type 2 diabetes are feeling more thirsty than usual, urinating often, losing weight without trying, presence of ketones in the urine. Now, before I go on with the other symptoms, let me explain to you what ketones are. Ketones are a byproduct of breakdown of muscle and fat that happens when there's not enough insulin. And, okay, now moving on. Feeling tired and weak, feeling irritable or having other mood changes, having blurry vision, having slow healing sores, and getting a lot of infections such as gum, skin, and vaginal infections. Now, this is a Diabetes Awareness Comic Hero team. Inside the speech bubble, you have the drops of blood. And then, here on the right sleeve, you have the awareness ribbon. And here on the left sleeve, this is in loving memory of everyone that has lost their lives due to complications of diabetes. Now, I personally know some folks that have diabetes. I know some folks that had diabetes. And they've all either managed it by 2 ways. They've either managed it by medication, or they managed it by simply watching when and what they eat and exercising. And if you're watching this, or if you know someone that has diabetes, this episode is for them. It's in loving memory of everyone that has ever lost their life due to complications of diabetes. Now, as I said, on last week's episode, I'm not going to give away a free t-shirt on this episode. However, I will remind y'all what the question is. Now, I'm going to give away a free t-shirt on episode 424. So here it is. True or false? In order to get to the Batcave from inside Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne has to manually move the hands on his grandfather clock to the exact time that his parents were murdered. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on episode 424 of the show. So, I gotta ask, any questions? Alright, I only have one question, and it's from Carl de Rat from New Dorp, the Netherlands. He asked, I feel that Rain Sinclair is an underrated character. What are your thoughts? Well, Carl, before I answer this question, I need to inform everyone else that's unfamiliar with the character, who this character is. Now, Rain Sinclair goes by the code name Wolfsbane, and she's been around for 40 years. She made her first debut in the very first issue of the New Mutants, and it was created by series creators Bob McLeod and Chris Claremont. And she would later join an international version of X-Men, or as I like to call it, X-Men UK, but the correct name of the group was called Excalibur. And then she joins X-Force, and then she eventually joins the X Factor investigations team. That, I mean, probably the best, one of the best X Factor teams that was. There was a series that ran for Marvel from 2005 to 2013, and it was in that series that she really was great. Like, she was utilized unlike any other character I've ever known. Now, you're probably wondering what her mutant power is. Her mutant power is the ability to change to either a werewolf or a full-blown wolf. And this character has also been in the New Mutants movie and was played by Maisie Williams. Now, but to answer your question, Carl, I think she is, because it seems like ever since she was resurrected on the island of Krakoa, in the dawn of 10, it seems like she's just been a paperweight, as opposed to all the other characters like Magic, Mirage, Warpath, or even Scout, which, by the way, is X-23's little sister. I think she needs to be utilized a lot more in this book, and hopefully, we'll see a lot more of her in terms of her powers, in terms of, better stories for her, because the way that she's being written, this is very disappointing, and I can only imagine how Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod feel about that. And by the way, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I actually met Bob McLeod just over 5 years ago. Great guy. But I do believe she needs to be she needs to be utilized more in the X-Men universe. Just about any character that's living on the island of Krakoa needs to be utilized in some shape, form, or manner. Now, I know there's quite a few mutants living on Krakoa, but still, Krakoa is an island, is a living island in which mutants live on, and it's been around for just over 3 years, and I would like to see more. I'm right with you. Now, you're probably wondering, how did Wolfsbane die? Well, she ended up being beaten to death by a bunch of humans who hated mutants, and then she eventually got resurrected on the island of Krakoa by the Five. All right, really loving these questions y'all are asking me. Y'all go on and keep them up. Remember, no tasteless questions. I will not ask nor answer them. They can have to do anything within the show or anything within comics of the realm, or anything about, me in terms of collecting comics. All right, now it's time for Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics! All right, there's only one thing we're going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and that's the news that DC will restore the secret identities of both the Clark and John Kent Supermen, beginning in Action Comics number 1050, which comes out next month. Oh boy, there's only one word that I have to say to use this, and that's hallelujah! And the reason I say that is because, for those of y'all that have been watching the show for some time, remember when I announced that Brian Michael Bendis was making Superman's identity public? Y'all remember how upset I was? I mean, heck, I was so upset about it that I even used an Airwolf reference. If you don't believe me, go back and watch that episode. It was an episode that I did back in 2019. I believe Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster with the intent of that never happening, and I stand by that. And I knew that when Bendis became the writer of Superman back in 2018, that he was going to do something stupid. Because a lot of times, unless it's a teenage superhero, he pretty much messes things up. He either messes things up or he does something that doesn't really sit well with a lot of readers. I mean, come on. When he started writing Avengers, you know what his first story arc was? Avengers Disassembled. Yeah. And that was back in 2004. But I'm thankful for the writers Tom Taylor and Philip Kennedy Johnson. I mean, Philip Kennedy Johnson wrote one of the best Superman stories I've read in a long time. You know, he's on World. He's fighting for his life and also the lives of all the slaves that are imprisoned there. And then he takes care of business, vindicates the slaves, vindicates everyone else, and I mean, that was a great story. But and then Tom Taylor, I don't care what anyone says, he has done no wrong with Superman Son of Kal-El, which, by the way, is ending, but it's not ending due to lack of sales. It's ending because of something that Tom Taylor has in store for John Kent, and that's a brand new book called Adventures of Superman John Kent, which I'm totally on board for. And now, as to how they're going to go about restoring the secret identities, I really don't know. But as soon as I find out, I will let y'all know. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is Action Comics number 1049. All Out Avengers number 3. The Amazing Spider-Man number 14. Avengers Forever number 11. Daredevil number 5. Detective Comics number 1066. Judgment Day Avengers. Judgment Day X-Men. Judgment Day Eternals. Tim Drake Robin number 3. X-Force number 34. And finally, X-Men number 17. Alright, that's 12, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 11,724. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Here's a question for a free tee for the next episode. True or false? In order to get to the Batcave from inside Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne has to manually move the hands on his grandfather clock to the exact time that his parents were murdered. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on episode 424. Now here's the road ahead on the show. On episodes 424 through 427, I'm celebrating Christmas. And I'm going to wear a different Christmas-themed comic hero tee on every episode. Or rather, they'll be different colors. And then I'm also going to have this entire desk decked out in Christmas decor. I'm also going to have a Christmas tree. And I'm going to have some Christmas-themed pop vinyls. So tune in for that. And also, I'm going to feature some of my own arrangements of classic Christmas songs. Some are Christmas carols, some of them are just Christmas songs, and others are Christmas hymns. So if y'all are a lover of Christmas, and I'm quite sure that's practically everyone, you may want to watch these next few episodes. Though in episode 428, I'm doing my year-end college football playoff edition of the show. Now, the regular season just ended, and there's going to be another shakeup in the top 4. But on that episode, I'm going to show some love to the 4 schools that are going to be in the college football playoffs, and I'm going to wear Comic Hero tees, all representing them. And then on episode 429 is going to be the first episode of 2023, and I'm going to wear a shirt in observance of that. Then on episode 430, I'm going to show some love to the college football national champs. Really loving doing the show, and you know, this I've been doing it for over 9 years, and honestly, I always look forward to doing it every year. Still do, or every week rather. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, welcome. And as soon as you're done, hit subscribe. Now, if y'all have any suggestions for the show, anything you think that will make the show look better, if you have any constructive criticism or anything like that, please let me know. Now, I know this is my show, and because it is, I can do it any way I feel pleased. But that may be true. However, I love the input and suggestions from others. It never falls upon deaf ears with me. And if you're watching this and you're living with any of the 4 types of diabetes, you know what, just keep on fighting. And also, check your blood sugar as often as you can, at least 2 to 3 times a day. Please, sir, please, ma'am. All right, I'm Victor Nunley on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next time for episode 424. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.